Hi guys, so today's topic is going to be quite interesting as well because one of you viewers actually reached out to me and asked me this very simple but at the same time complicated question. When should I sell my property? So fret not, today I'll be using him as a case study and then we see step by step on how I guide my clients to actually make the decision based on their current situation and see how it can maybe benefit you as well if you have the same question moving forward. So three main points over here we are covering today. First thing is to understand whether your property when to sell, has the full potential of the property been realized yet? Second thing is your property underperforming or outperforming your current market? So means whether your current bedroom, is it underperforming in your area or is it on par or is it outperforming? And then the last part is, this property, can you still hold or not? Or what is the timeline and exit strategy moving forward? With all this information, I'm quite sure my client will be able to make a more informed decision for themselves and their family. Alright, so stay tuned. So for the purpose of privacy, I won't be using the actual message in the chat lah. But I just tell you the summary. So basically, the viewer, they reached out to me, Mr. A Mr. A, okay? He told me that he don't know whether he should stay put in his current place or he should sell and then buy a new launch. So he asked me how, what should I do? So of course, first things first, I had to clarify a couple of things with him. So if today you are facing the same dilemma also, I'm quite sure if you want a second opinion, you can reach out to me also because I think this is a very real problem that some of the property owners out there, I feel like they don't know what they're doing. And agent A say this, agent B say this, so what should I do? So for me, this is how I outline my entire process. So first thing first, I want to clarify a few things with him because I don't know his current situation at all. And I also don't want to give him the wrong advice. So that's why I think it's better to have the proper structure before we even go on to what to advise for him. Okay, so first things first, this is actually what I clarified with him. So he told me, he actually put the check for Emerald Katong over here. So for them, they haven't sold the unit yet, but they already put the check for Emerald Katong. So their initial plan with the current agent, was actually to start marketing their unit, but at the same time, put a check for Emerald Katong. So in the event, if they manage to buy the unit at Emerald Katong, then they will be able to quickly sell off the unit because it's already on the market. Okay. But first things first, I feel like the objective is not properly aligned yet. So why they actually put the check for Emerald Katong? Is it just following the hype, the FOMO, all this? So I think all these questions need to be properly answered before you even consider to put a check because you don't want to be affected by the hype and FOMO. This will only happen when you are not clear on your objective. I feel like it was quite lucky for their scenario that they didn't really get a good ballot number because if they get a good one, I'm quite sure they have booked the unit already. So luckily they never booked the unit. And even if on their scenario, let's say they already found a buyer, but the buyer, they haven't issued the option to purchase for their selling yet because they were not sure if they were able to get Emerald Katong. So you see, there's a lot of risky components that I feel is not ideal for their current scenario because the agent actually told them, if we already confirmed that we have a buyer for their selling, but we will only accept the buyer's offer if we manage to get the good ballot number and book a unit at Emerald Katong. So I feel that there's a few things. First thing is the buyer might actually back out from the deal. So for example, maybe initially last week, you already negotiated the buyer, They are ready to give him this offer. But maybe the buyer, because they are not tied down by the option to purchase, then as a result, the buyer can back out. Then what if you already booked the unit at Emerald Katong, but then your buyer back out? You sell because you haven't confirmed, and you put you in a position that you are forced to sell. I don't think that's the ideal scenario. Okay. But so to the client, his thought process is if he don't get Emerald Katong, he can still stay, he's not forced to sell. But if he sell first, then he need to confirm find a place already. And on top of that, the Emerald Katong, because it's so hot, you might not even guarantee a booking also. So first things first, you also want to ask, is the funds required from the current flat to pay for the buyer's stamp duty and down payment? Because you must understand for, let's say, even if you buy a new launch or resale, if you need the funds in your current flat, then you have to do a back-to-back transaction. Minimally, you must have the 5% initial. If you don't have, then of course you must sell. That is the given. Okay. So you must consider all these things first. Second thing is actually the current flat you see right for this client Mr. A scenario, right? They haven't sell their flat yet. And then right, if you actually need the funds from your current flat to actually pay for the down payment for the new launch or resale, you will need a bridging loan because your funds haven't come in yet. When the banks are to approve bridging loan, right, they also need OTP from your current flat. So that's why I think it's quite risky because you are forced to sell in a certain time frame if you choose to buy the unit before you start selling. So I think there's quite a few things to consider. And then the third and final thing is the reason for putting up the unit for sale simply because of the hype. Because I do understand the Emerald Katong, Trump Park, all this, all launching at the same time, it did create a lot of hype. And I think a lot of buyers in the market was talking about the same thing. So everyone wanted a piece of it. But are you buying based on the hype or is it really based on something that you are doing for yourself or your family? So some other reasons that I want to clarify first for the reason for sale. First, is it to relocate nearer to parents or is it to kids' school, lifestyle change? Second thing is, are you actually trying to increase your overall asset value? For example, is it from a two-bedder to a three-bedder or is it from a condo to a landed? Third thing is, or are you just looking for a bigger property for your own stay? For example, maybe you now, when you bought the place initially, it was just the two of you, but then now you have two kids, your space is not enough. And then the last thing is, are you actually buying into a property with a higher chance of performance compared to your current one? So I think all these things you need to kind of determine properly before you even decide whether you want to sell or not. So I think these are the things that I will go through with you step by step if you are still not sure whether it is the right time for you to sell. So I think the current agent for them, right, they haven't done the proper property health checkup for their current property. And then something I asked this Mr. A, what if the property's full potential, right, hasn't been realized yet? And then what is the timeline for the current property? So actually, he couldn't answer me this because I think maybe the agent didn't go through with him. But for me, I think it's very important because on this channel, right, I do talk about a lot on exit strategy. So I think it's very real in the resale market. What is your exit strategy as well? It is definitely the same thing. If I can do it for the new launch, for the resale, I also can do the same thing. Okay. And next question, what is the next best move for their family? So I think all these questions are kind of not answered with 100% clarity. So it actually led to this client having confusion on whether they should keep the current property or they should sell and then buy the new launch. Okay, so some background information for those that's maybe not familiar with this area. So for this particular client, right, we are looking at the Bidadari area. So I think here is quite famous for the number of $1 million HDB flats, right, that just hit the MOP mark. So I won't be covering too much on this, but just do understand that we are in this cluster. And one of the properties that my client owns is actually near Bartley MRT area, which is Bartley MRT is over here. So this will be the main discussion point for this entire case study. Okay, so first step in my process is doing a property health checkup. Bartley area, I will still consider it under OCR, but some people will consider it as fringe of RCR. So from here, right, you can see based on my charts, why I narrowed down to 4 bedrooms because they own a 4-bedroom in the Bartley area. So you can see actually across the whole Singapore, we are looking at about 73% in terms of capital appreciation over the past 10 years. So I think definitely a very strong OCR 4-bedroom performance. But how does their property fare up to the overall market? So now we look at Bartley's 4-bedroom condo performance. So you can see over a similar time period, Botanic at Bartley is 56% growth. Bartley Residences, 55%. Bartley Ridge, 54%. So my client's property, right, is actually Bartley Ridge. And I'm just comparing within the area. If the property for 4 bedrooms Is it underperforming this entire cluster, or is it on par? So I think these are all very important questions to find out whether you should still hold on to your property or you should potentially consider selling. So of course, here we can see Bali area. These are the three projects near the MRT, right? Definitely they underperform the overall OCR market a little bit. But if you just look at Bali area itself, it doesn't seem that it has a much poorer performance as compared to the other two bigger projects nearby. So I think for based on this, still okay. The fact is actually over a 10-year period, if they are still able to make a decent amount of profit, which I think 50+% is, and they are able to provide for their family, their needs, their schools, all this. You see, right? This is a resale property. So means you don't have to pay for rent if like comparing to between new launch. So I think those are that's a whole different discussion. But when you look at this like this, it does make sense that actually this property still makes sense, can earn money. But you can see, right, this entire OCR region, right? The thing is, this data also includes new launch performances as well, but they don't include how much cost it actually incur when you have to, like, let's say you buy a 4 bedroom, but if you have to rent a certain place, then I think it will affect your profits. But of course, that's another discussion now. So I think just based on just a quick look like this, it does seem like Bartley Ridge is performing well, even the past 10 years. Okay, I don't think my owner necessarily have to sell, because when you see from this perspective, right, they seem to be holding to a good asset. The moment when you see the rest of Singapore go up, but then your property price is stagnating, right? I think that's when you should seriously consider switching to a better performing asset, because you will be left behind and eventually be priced out of other maybe 4 bedrooms or 5 bedrooms if you continue to stay in the underperforming asset. Okay, so now I want to cover a little bit on my owner's current exit strategies. So first things first, we will cover the demand and supply in the area. So for this, for the search results, I'll be using the following criteria. So within 500 meters of Bartley MRT, transactions within 1 year, and 4 bedrooms. So over here, we can see that there's a total of 11 transactions. And on the market right now, there is only 3 units available in the resale market for 4 bedroom. There's a severe shortage in the supply in Bali area for 4 bedrooms. So you can see over here, the demand to supply ratio, we are looking at 11 transactions to 3. So it means that when you put your unit on sale, right, very likely you should be able to sell off very easily within 1/3 of the year. So the next thing is we'll be talking about the HDB upgraders in this particular Bidadari area. Okay. So first thing first, I want you to look at closer to Bali Ridge. So Bali Ridge is over here, and then this is Bartley MRT. Okay. So we have these 3 main plots. Bartley Beacon. Okay, they're gonna TOP 2025 and then MOP 2030. So there will be a total of 3 clusters for the BTOs, right? That is gonna TOP in 2025, namely Bartley Green Rise and Park Edge. So these 3, right, they're gonna TOP next year, and at the same time, they're gonna all MOP at the same time in 2030 or so. And then now we move on to Woodleigh area. So this Woodleigh Hillside, Woodleigh Glen, and Woodleigh Village, you can see, right, they are all gonna TOP in 2022, and then they're gonna MOP in 2027. So they are kind of the next group of HDB upgraders, right? That is gonna be nearby here and would seriously consider my client's 4 bedroom unit in the resale market. So I think these are some of the things that you are already aiming for. So you can see, right, when you study the area itself, you already know who is your potential target audience. And why am I talking about HDB upgraders? Because as you have seen the newspapers, all this, you already know that a lot of $1 million Bidadari flats are hitting the market, right, when it hit MOP. So don't be surprised in 2027, it could create a new high, and then as a result for the owners over there being able to cash out on more profits. Okay, so you can see over here, right, these are the transacted HDB prices in the Bidadari area. So you can see block 106A Bidadari, right, newly MOP, we are already reaching 1.34 million of maximum price. And if you go and do your homework, you go and see the website for the BTO launch, right? You already know how much all these people make, and really a lot of profits here. So to me, right, when I see this market moving like this. And my owner still got another 6 more plots nearby Bartley Ridge of potential HDB upgraders with lots of profits. So to me, it does seem like there will be a healthy pool of buyers even up till 2030, which is 6 years from today. Okay, so right now, right, I'll be talking about these upcoming amenities, and I want to focus on this BTO that is called Bartley Beacon. Okay, because Bartley Ridge is over here. Okay, so Bartley Beacon, whatever it has, it will immediately affect Bartley Ridge. So one thing I want to highlight is this multi-story car park over here for Bartley Beacon, the BTO that's coming out in 2025. So you can see, right, actually, they already zone out, right? There will be a supermarket over here as well as like a small hawker center there. So if for those that is familiar with the Bali area, right, you already know that actually this area don't really have particular like supermarket or a big hawker center per se. So with this Bali Beacon coming up next year, I think it will be very exciting for my owner. You imagine, right, today if you are selling this property at Bali Ridge, you won't be able to say that, oh, opposite us is like Sheng Siong or hawker center. But in next year, Q2, right, when the owners get the keys at Bali Beacon, my owner at Bartley Beach is able to say, hey, opposite me, there's supermarket already, and there's a lot of eateries. So I think there will be a drastically different price point because for convenience sake, right, you just walk across your condominium, you already can get so many amenities. As compared to now, you have to either go to Next from Bartley area or you have to go to Woodley Mall. So both being not so convenient and immediate vicinity lah. So that's why I think with this shopping, supermarket and eatery, right, it will create a very huge impact in the resale market. And you only need to wait about 6 months when it hits the Bartley Beacons TOP. Okay, so second thing I want to touch on is actually the reconstruction of Maris Stella High School. So in the newspaper, right, they mentioned that they're gonna rebuild this school to be slightly bigger because you see, they want to look to increase its intake in 2027 and also become a co-ed school. So why do you think the government is actually doing this? It's very simple. It's because, right, they have all these HDB upgraders over here. They got almost 6 new clusters that is going to MOP in 2030 with 3 additional clusters is going to TOP next year. So you imagine this influx of residents. Maybe they are young couples or that, but they don't have kids yet. So the government's direction, right, to do Maristella, the primary school, to be a co-ed, to prepare for the kids, right, that is coming up from these 6 plots, because most of them might have a young family just starting and looking for primary school nearby. So previously it's still a single sex school, but now if it's a co-ed, it's definitely going to be more convenient for a lot of the parents and the young families staying there. So everything the government do, right, you see they launch all the plots, all this, they already have thought out the entire 5 to 10 year plan for the residents in the area. Yeah, so I think it's going to be quite exciting the year 2027 for this Bidadari area. So when you look at this entire plot, right, there's actually a lot of transformation going on. You see, Bali Beach is over here. So there is going to be a new supermarket and new hawker center there. And also Maristella, right, is going to be a new school, 2027 co-ed, rebuilt bigger and also having a bigger intake in terms of students. And they have a new park, the Bidadari Park that just opened this year. And also, of course, the new shopping mall, Woodley Mall. So a lot of new exciting stuff coming up in the Bidadari area. So that's why you also can see why it's able to command so many $1 million HDBs upon MOP. So now I'll be covering the price analysis, right? As to see whether this Bali Ridge condo, how does it fare along the Circle Line area? Okay, so now we look at Bali Ridge on the Circle Line. Then you can see Bali area is here. Then right here, we have Chuan Park, which is at Lorong Chuan MRT. So you can see over here, based on what I've recorded here, right, it's going to be estimated TOP 2029. And the highest transacted PSF, right, we're looking at about 2.6K PSF. And then the highest quantum you can see, right, is about 3.66 million. And these are all the 4-bedroom prices. And we look at Grand Diamond, you can see, of course, you're going to say maybe Bartley to Dakota MRT so far got link meh? But I think since it's along the Circle Line, it does make sense because people will compare based on MRT ma. Alright, so For me, I just take whatever I see on the circle line and just show it to my client. So estimated TOP, we are looking at 2027. Highest PSF here, we have recorded 2614. Highest quantum over here, 4.47 million. So I think this question I asked Mr. A, is there still potential for future growth, especially when these two projects still be? So I think the most immediate one will probably be because Checkup launched in 2024 this year, and it created a new high in the Circle Line area. And the strong thing is that it's 2 stops away from Bartley MRT. So definitely the spillover effects will be very strong over here. So now we're looking at timeline. Okay, so I think this was quite interesting because I summarized the entire potential exit points, right, for this owner at Bali Ridge. So you see, first thing is the year 2024, okay? We have Trump Park launching. So because of Trump Park launching, right, I do see that a lot of buyers, if they didn't manage to get Trump Park or they were priced out of Trump Park, this is the same effect as people that got priced out of like maybe the Mayor Road area, Amber Road area going to Tanjong Katong because they cannot afford them a price out. But they still want a similar kind of area and amenities. So for people that price out of Trump Park, right, what is the next one they'll consider? Maybe next, which is Serangoon area or maybe Bali area. So that is why you can see for Bali area, right, if you went to do some research, actually the prices for the 4 bedroom there has been creating new highs. It's no longer very cheap already. And I can tell you the resale market there, in terms of supply, if you see just now my analysis, right, there's actually limited number of units for owners to buy. I mean for buyers to buy. So it's more of a seller's market, I would say. So 2025, right, the next point is when the Chuang Grove GLS launched for sale. Because you see, they just launched for sale this month. So potentially to conclude the sale, I'll be looking at 2025. Then 2026, right, is when the Chuang Grove, this plot that is near to Chuang Park, they will launch. So when you see this current era, right, of the Chuang Park selling so well, despite this high benchmark PSF in the OCI area, do you think the developers that are bidding for Chuang Grove for the GLS, are they gonna bid low or are they gonna bid aggressively for it? So for me, I do feel like they most likely gonna bid quite aggressively because there seems to be a very strong buyer's market. So when we look into 2026, right, very likely Chuang Grove won't be launching much cheaper than Chuang Park. If anything, it could be same price or even higher. So one thing to take note, right, of course, when Chuang Grove, when it launched in 2026, it will be a harmonized project. So it will create even a higher PSF than Chuang Park because Chuang Park is still under the old scheme as it's an M block. So all these things, right, I feel like if you are owner at Bali area or even Bidadari area, you should already know because all this information is out there already. You just need to write it out in a timeline to know when is your potential exit points. Okay. Then from here, I feel like this is where you can determine whether your property has it actually realized its full potential yet or there is still room for growth in the short term. So I would say in this 3 to 5 years, this is how I will assess whether there is still potential for the property or not. Okay. So now we look at 2027, which I feel like is the most exciting year for this Bartley area. Okay. So Bartley, right, there will be 3 clusters of HDB that is going to MOP. So just now, if you remember from the map I show you, you have 3 clusters of MOP. And then Grand Diamond will TOP. So why Grand Diamond TOP will have a strong effect, right? Because you can see those people that bought the highest PSF in Grand Diamond, right? 2614 over here, right? This one, do you think they will actually sell at 2614 in the resale market in 2027? Most likely no lah, right? And we just take a conservative approach. These people in the 26 range, imagine they start selling at 28. What will happen? People might consider, hey, wow, maybe I should just reconsider Bartley already because you see Bartley now, we are looking at about 1,900 PSF. So, right, this is today's price, of course, for Bartley. So, if you compare, right, we are looking at almost 900 to 1,000 PSF difference. And if you are looking at three bedrooms of 1,000 square feet, that is between $900,000 to $1 million difference there. And to be honest, when Grand Diamond TOP in 2027, I don't think Bartley Ridge is going to be that old also. Typically, you don't want to hold beyond the 20-year mark if you want to make a move earlier. Because for me, when I serve buyers, they also tell me their criteria. Some of them, they want to keep it below 10 years. Maybe it can stretch to 15, but at most, right, 20 years. I've never heard people that really like to buy beyond 20 years old properties because that one will be really too old and too much renovation cost to factor in. Okay, so you think about it, right? In today's market, we about $1,900 PSF for Bartley area, right? Compared to Grand Diamond's Future 2008, and this is looking at about $900 to $1,000 per square feet difference. If you don't think this will happen, right, very likely Bartley over the years at 2027, do you think the gap can actually close up? Now, because I'm quite sure people at Grand Diamond, buyers that are looking at Grand Diamond, if they feel like they will price out at 2008 PSF, then maybe they feel like, hey, I buy Bartley area, I buy 2001, 2002 PSF. It seems like a much more affordable option. So I think all these things you need to take into account whether you are a buyer or you are owner today. Okay, so now we come back to this. So after Grand Diamond TOP in 2027, right? Then the next thing is Maristella, the expansion, right? Also gonna be completed in 2027. So I will call this for Bartley area, Bidadari area, right? The trifecta year, right? Because you can see there's three big things that's gonna happen for this area. So I feel like if you want to potentially sell, the next biggest jump, it will be 2027 really, because you can see this is the highest potential based on the number of things happening in the area. Okay. So the next big thing, right, will be in 2029, which is when Trump Park TOP. So this is where I say is the second most potential, because if you think about it, if I say the same thing about Grand Diamond, about the price, all this, you think about Trump Park today, right, already selling 2.6 PSF. Imagine if they hit the resale market in 2029, how much will they be selling at? Do you think they will be selling at 2.6 or is 2.8, 2.9 or even 3,000 within the realm of expectations for Trump Park, future Trump Park resale market? Okay, so I think these are the things you need to consider. And then last but not least, 2030, which is, typo here, but it should be 3 clusters of HDB being MOP. So this will provide the next batch of fresh HDB upgraders that's entering maybe the resale nearby, or they are constrained by maybe the school, which is Maristella in 2027. They don't want to shift away, so they will still choose to stay in the Bidadari Bartley area. So I think all these things will give you a very good framework, right, as to where you know to potentially exit for this property. So you can see this is up to 2030. Anything beyond that, I don't really have the information, and I think it's too far to forecast. So I just want to work within the 3 to 5 year range to see what to expect, right? I think this is good enough to know whether your property has been fully realized in terms of potential. So do you think this information will be helpful to you if today you are a buyer or a potential owner that is too confused about what to do with their current property? You can feel free to hit me up for this property health checkup, because you can see based on this, right, my owner is very clear as to when the property they should exactly exit. I think this will provide a very good framework also. And on top of that, right, you see, so this entire presentation, right, that I just showed you is what I would prepare for when you list your unit for sale. So I will use all these strong points to tell your buyer, your future buyer, this is the future growth of your property. So I think this will also help to excite your future buyers, right? Because they know, wow, actually there's so many things upcoming. Me buying into this resale property, even if I'm paying record PSF, right, I do know that all these strong points in the future, it will help me in protecting my own buffer in terms of capital appreciation. So I think all these things I do for every property, right? Even if it's in the resale market or new launch market, because I do believe they are the same thing. It's just whether you do the homework deep enough. So today, if you're owner, right, when you think about it, if today I am presenting your unit for sale like this with all this detailed data, right, do you think your buyer will be impressed? And of course, with all this information, I am quite sure the buyer will feel confident into paying a record PSF or even a good price for your unit that is on the market right now. Yep, so if you want your own personalized property health checkup, do hit me up, alright? So after my entire sharing and analysis, do you think my client Mr. A should sell his property or do you think he should continue to hold on? Do leave in the comment section below so that, it's a free open discussion. So for me, based on our current discussion, it is actually still based on his current needs and wants. Because if you think about it, right, if you want to improve your current lifestyle, maybe a certain location, all this, then no choice. You still have to shift. But at the same time, he doesn't want to forego his future returns. You don't want to buy into a poorer asset. So for this, right, we did assess whether the new launch potentially that we are buying is going to perform as well as what Bartley Ridge has done in the resale market. For this, I won't be sharing too much because it's quite personal information. So for this, I will have to do a more one-to-one private conversation with you if you wish to find out more. But for my client, the first step, right, was just to outline the entire timeline and potential of his current property. And then the next step is whether if he sell and then he buy something else, will it still achieve the same kind of returns and potential? So all these things are, I'm sure, burning questions that you want to find out whether or not it's the right move for you to even consider or you should just stay put. Okay, so why I emphasize a lot on all this is because you want to minimize buyer stamp duty, opportunity cost in terms of time and down payment, all this. So I do know that for every Singaporean family, most likely you only have a chance to make a move 3 to 4 times in your lifetime. That is like standard lah. Yeah. If anything more, I would say you're definitely not a average family. Should be quite well to do. Yeah. So in the 3 to 4 range is already considered average to like more. Yeah. Some even stay in one property for their entire life. So for me, I just want to minimize the transactional costs. Yeah, and just let me know in the comment section, what will you do if you are him? Are you actually convinced not to sell your property? Put down in the comment section so we can actually discuss. I'm quite sure there'll be quite interesting answers that will be coming up. So actually, this Mr. A also quite funny lah. He asked me, wow, bro, like that, you tell me don't sell my property, but you don't get to earn any commission, how? So for me, right, I do believe in conducting my business in a long-term manner. So I know today, even if I don't get your business, I'm quite sure in the future, right, you will still look for me for a second opinion because I gave you a very complete overview of what to expect. And this is based on I don't earn anything. And on top of that, right, you might be able to still refer me to your friends and relatives so that I can also help them and they will benefit from whatever I can offer to them. So I never believe in always, you must sell today, you must buy today. Like, it's always about long-term building in relationships as well. So with that, I've come to the end of my sharing today. So if you found whatever I shared useful for you, do leave me a like and subscribe, okay? And you can also send this video out to share to people that you feel will be useful in their current scenario as well. Alright, that's it for me today. Bye.